I always wanted to make a short animation test, even just seconds, just to understand how the full process works. But every time I tried, I got very overwhelmed. Modeling, unwrapping, texturing, making sure I didn't max out the GPU memory just to render it. Then rigging, animating, and on top of that, post-production. How long is this actually going to take? And how complicated is it, really? If you are into 3D, or you thought about making a short animation, but it just feels way too complex, and you do not even know where to start, what tools to use, or how long it's going to take, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how I tackle a project that honestly, I had no idea how it was going to end. I started this project with one simple intention. I wanted to create something completely personal, not based on anyone else's concept, something that it meant something to me. And for some reason, the Arena Coliseo in Monterrey came to mind. It's a well-known place in my city, but sadly, it's gone now. And that's when the idea came, to create a tribute to this place and give it a nostalgic feeling or something that no longer exists, but it still lives in my memory. Of course, just having an idea wasn't enough. I wanted to look good, to have a visual weight, and that's where the uncertainty kicked in, because there were a lot of things I honestly didn't know how to solve. I had to understand composition, how to light a scene properly, build models, many of them procedurally, create textures that wouldn't eat up all my memory, design characters from scratch, animate the scene, even just a little, render hundreds of frames, split into passes, and finally do post-production. And for me, post-production has always been in Photoshop for a single image. But now I had to do it for every single frame, over 200 of them. Total madness. So, let's get started. Composition. How do I make the Arena Coliseo with an appealing composition? I started by studying the basics of concept art, and I came across several composition styles. For example, the rule of thirds, where you divide the image into 3 sections and place key elements at the intersections. Or the 90-10 rule, where almost all the visual weight is focused on the main area. Then there are others like 50-50 and 80-20. I found them all interesting, but I couldn't settle on just one. So I did something very strange. I created a custom grid mixing all of them, and I'm not sure if I nailed it completely, but when I saw all put together, it just felt right. Lighting. How do I light the Arena Coliseo so it feels cinematic? The first thing I did was go back to a book I really love, Graphic LA by Rob Ruppel. It is a simple book, but it says something that really stuck with me. That visual clarity is more important than realism. That it's better to express an idea with fewer elements, but well organized. And that helped me to start thinking about light not as something realistic, but as something that helps me out to communicate in a better way. So I divided the scene into tonal values, just like the book suggests. And I ran several tests until I landed something that felt clear, but also aesthetic. That gave me the confidence to move forward. That book has saved me before, and this time was no different. Assets. How do I make assets quickly without losing the flexibility to tweak them later? This part was one of the trickiest for me. Sure, I would model everything by hand, but whenever I wanted to change something, I wasted hours tweaking small things. So I decided to use geometry nodes. That way, I could build a basic structure, and something didn't work, I could change everything at once with just a simple menu. That's how I made the floor, the Arena Coliseo bricks, and the side building bricks, and a lot of other elements. If you are interested in how I built them, I have a more technical breakdown on my website. You also can even download the full scene on my Gumroad. The links is in the description. Watch ton of tutorials, and honestly, it was just a mix of everything that actually worked. One thing I really recommend is keep your notes organized and name them correctly and clearly. I opened old projects of mine and where I couldn't understand anything. Just trying to figure out what I did took longer than rebuilding from scratch. Spare yourself that headache. Your future self will thank you. Texturing. How do you create materials that do not eat up all your memory? Funny enough, this part was one of the most fun parts of the project. I didn't have a clear plan, but through trial and error I stumbled upon something that had really surprised me. I focused on creating mask-based styles using just a few nodes, and to my surprise, the Voronoi node became the MVP. Just with that, I managed to build patterns of circles, messy ones, squares, square scales, and all sorts of things. Then I started layering in other nodes. The wave nodes for lines, the brick nodes for the background walls, and another few others. But the real trick was in building good masks. When I had those, the rest pretty much fell into place. I even made a list of interesting masks on my website. You can check it out if you want to dive deeper. In the end, I had dots, lines, squares, circles, all with a very digital feel. I didn't want to look realistic. The render was never about realism. And that gave me so much freedom and peace of mind. Character design. How do you design an iconic character for a scene like this? Originally, this was supposed to be just an environment, but I didn't want to leave it completely empty. So I thought maybe I add one or two characters. The first one was super simple. Just someone wearing a hat inside a pickup truck, and that was it. But then I realized the scene needed someone who could connect with the place. Someone with a reason to be there. Of course, a luchador would come to mind, obviously. The only problem? I had no idea how to design characters. So I started studying character design from scratch, and I found something really interesting that I love to share with you. Like Scott McCloud triangle, which explains characters as being realistic, iconic, or abstract, or a combination of those. I also learned about the use of big, medium, and small shapes, and how circles feel friendly, squares feel stable, and triangles feel more dynamic. I discovered the line of action, which helps a character have rhythm, direction, and a clear intention, and the importance of a strong silhouette, so your character reads instantly, even at a glance. With all of this in mind, I decided to create the mythical Blue Demon, because he was from Nuevo León, just like the Arena Coliseo. I did consider El Santo, of course, he's more famous, but no, this had to be local. So, in the end, Blue Demon became the guardian of the Coliseo door, a protector, a symbol. I even pulled some ideas from the Jungian archetypes. But hey, that's a whole different video. Animation. How do you make the world feel alive without animating frame by frame? I wasn't trying to make a complex animation. I just wanted the scene to feel a little alive, not just a frozen image. And once again, geometry nodes came to the rescue. I mainly used the scene time node, which basically gives you a constant number either in seconds or frames. With that, I could move and rotate different elements in the scene without animating anything by hand. Honestly, this might be the easiest thing I did using geometry nodes. What was really interesting though, was using the same scene time inside the shader. I even managed to animate the texture in a simple way. I know, it's not a big deal, but it did bring a little soul to the scene. See that movement? I didn't animate it, and now did. Render. How do you render hundreds of frames without ending up with a total file chaos? If you're just rendering a single image, that's easy. But once you start working with multiple passes, and each pass has hundreds of frames, you definitely need to stay organized. In my case, it was 288 frames per pass, and that can easily turn into a huge mess. I already knew about the file output node. I used it before, but this time I really understood what it's capable of. It automatically organizes each pass into its own folder with clear names, no manual sorting required. If you're doing video or complex compositions, this node becomes essential. Honestly, if you're not using it properly yet, you're making your life harder. And look how neat all turned out. Folders, files, all sorted automatically. Post-production. How do you get your video to match the look you already created in Photoshop? This part was hands down the most stressful part of the whole project, because I already had a clear idea of what I wanted. I had a still image fully graded in Photoshop. But how do you do that into video? I thought 12 seconds, 24 frames per second. If each frame takes like 10 minutes to 15 minutes, that's like 7 to 10 days non-stop. Nope, that's insane. And if it needs to tweak anything later, I have to redo everything frame by frame. That was the worst idea. So I asked myself, what if I try doing this in a video compositor instead? I didn't know how to use one, but how hard could it be to learn the basics? And if I need to change something, I could fast. So I dove into Fusion, the compositor inside DaVinci Resolve. By the way, I used the free version, not the paid one. I started recreating each Photoshop layer with nodes in Fusion. Some were easy, others completely different. Masks worked like a little weird, and levels adjustment didn't even exist. I had to use color corrector instead. At the end, I added my LUTs and dropped the frame rate from 24 to 12 frames per second to get that stop motion rhythm. And you know what? It didn't turn out identical. But for my first time doing this, it came close. And honestly, that's good enough for me. And finally, I finished those 12 seconds of animation. You already saw it at the beginning of the video, but I want to show it to you again. Now, knowing everything that is behind it. When I started this project, I just wanted to make an image. I had no idea what it would look like in the end. And even though it's a bit anxiety-inducing not knowing where everything is going, I think it's necessary to give a project time. To learn what you know you need to learn, and let it grow with you along the way. There were many things I had no idea how to do. But instead of drowning in that, I broke the problems down and solved them one by one. If you made this far, I just want to say thank you. This type of video isn't something I normally do, so let me know in the comments. Did you like it? Did it feel like a waste of time? Have you also wanted to make a micro short? This video help you or it demotivate you? Because that can happen too, and that's okay. And of course, if you can give it a share, a like, or subscribe, I really appreciate it. I have a website in case you want to dive deeper into any part, and the scene is also available in my Gumroad in case you want to download it. And just to close this, I want to tell you, even if you're not sure where you're going to pull that project you've been thinking about, you have to start, because that's where everything begins. See ya.